this talk I'm going to give will be has some information for the raw beginner, just wanting to know some more information about getting a well for water on a property, country property, and for some people maybe who've had experience installing a well, some technology that I've included. My background is in computer and electrical engineering, and I do industrial controls right now. I do technical support for industrial controls. I've installed several wells and designed a few and systems, and not at all. I mean, a huge expert, but I do have experience of some things that I've gone through with them, and just want to share those with you in your decision to drill a well. And so, yeah, so if you were to have if you have a country property, you know, you could use a rain catchment system where you could catch water from rain. And then another system you could have is my next door neighbor actually has a an artesian well. Water just comes out of the spring, and it's lower than his house, so he has to pump it up to his house. And of course, the ideal thing would be having a spring of water up on a mountain and the water coming down, you know, gravity fed. That would be wonderful. But for most people who want to move to the country, getting a well on their property is the most common option, where they have to drill into the ground and to get water. And there's a couple reasons why someone would want a well. One of them is, of course, they live in the country and they don't have city water, and there's no pipe running out, so you drill a well in order to have a water supply. And streams aren't used because of the contamination. Although if you had a proper filtration, you probably could. But most of the time, you can't get a certificate of occupancy for your house if you don't have either a sealed spring, a sanitary spring, or a well. And so another reason you might want to have a well, and as it was reason for me and my family, is that we were first training for country living when we bought our first suburban home on half an acre. And my wife, who was a city dweller, asked to me, Jim, why do we need so much land? Half an acre. So, and so we use it as a training ground. And so we wanted to make our home very beautiful. We prayed that the Lord would help us make our home a Garden of Eden. And I actually took a class in landscape architecture and was able to plant beautiful plants. But what happens is that, and this is for another reason we're having a well, is it costs a lot of money to irrigate all that. And so we decided to drill a well. It would be great for making the property look beautiful, and also give us some country living skills as far as learning about wells. And so because pumping water on our half-acre property and would have cost us residential water would have cost $300 to $400 a month in a water bill, and there was a drought at the time too. I don't know if you remember, back in '95 to 2000, there was in Georgia like a 4-year drought. And they weren't allowing people to sprinkle their lawns, and I wanted to have unlimited, use of my water, and so we installed a well on our property. And the electric bill in order to run the pump was only like $25 a month. So we were able to irrigate sometimes up to 8 hours a day, and our electric bill didn't go up any more than what we had normally used, any more than $25 more. And so when we think of a well, we think of, a lot of times people think of this cute little clip art with a little hat on the top, and the little way to lower the bucket into the well, and this is what one actually looks like. And this is a dug well. They used to do this all the time, where they put a roof over the top to keep any kind of trash or rain or anything, or birds or any kind of contamination getting into the well. And this is what we normally think when we think of in the Bible times. Jesus was at the well with the lady. These wells were dug wells. They actually got inside of them and dug them and took the dirt out and build a wall all the way down, to the into the ground. And a disadvantage of having a well like this is it's not very sanitary. Something could fall in there or drop in there, and so you have to be careful about this type of. So when we're talking about wells on country properties, we are not talking about this kind of well, where these are dug wells. We're talking about drilled wells. And if you ever to walk on somebody's property, have a well, I've had people walk on property. So where's your well? Where's your well? And it's under a plastic rock. It looks similar to this. And so we're going to talk more about what this is. But a lot of times a well in someone's country property is hidden with a plastic rock over it, especially here in well, actually most everywhere. They may or may not have a tank underneath here, and I'm going to explain how that works. And so anyway, this is my country property, country. By my wife, it was a country property, 1 acre, half an acre. We lived in a little suburban dead end road. And this is after I had cleared 60 trees from the backyard. You see all the trees that were in the background? That's how the backyard used to be, just full of trees. I cut them all down and learned the skill of cutting up wood and using a chainsaw for the first time in my life. And we actually had a logger haul those logs away. This is the property before we landscaped where we were going to drill our well, So what happened where I drilled the well was actually right here on this side here. And when the well drillers showed up, I actually thought I'm going to put it right next to the house because that's where the city water comes. This house had city water already. And I was going to put a valve in to switch from one to the other. And I said, let's drill it right here next to the house. He says, no, we don't drill wells next to the house. And I never knew that. And the reason why is because people use pesticide things around the foundation of a house for termites. And so you don't put a well right next to your house. So he said, you got to have it 50 feet from the house. So he drilled it out here. And so after we installed the irrigation and everything, of course, with the new well, our house just flourished as far as the plants and everything. And this was the backyard after we had cut all those trees, and then we put in that irrigation and used as much water basically as we wanted to. And this is I built this shed out there, just planted, and this is a picture of the irrigation. And so here's another picture too of some of all the grass, and everything grows wonderfully when you have irrigation. And so we even had a pool in the backyard and planted all these. This is that barren backyard you just saw. And so with some proper planting, I actually had my teacher from landscape architecture class come over and tell me what to plant. So anyway, this is what showed up on my property. I had never seen a well drilling rig before. I look back, this was back in 1998, I guess it was, around there. And I had a pastor friend of mine said, yeah, drill a well on your property. It'll be great for your plants and everything. And so this huge truck shows up to hey, we're ready to drill your well. And this is another picture of it after they raised the tower. And I actually had to go to all my neighbors door to door when they started drilling. There's another picture here of I'll explain some of this, what all this is. When they started the engines up on this thing, because it was so loud, I say, please bear with us. We're just drilling a well on our property so we could irrigate, and it's going to be noisy. And so I had no idea. This is the first time I got myself into this. Of course, back then there was YouTube. I don't even had come out yet, so I never seen a video on it. Anyway, so what happens is that they raise this tower, and these pipes here are actually the extensions. Every one of them is 20 foot, and they swing them in and they drill down into this skirt right here covers the hole where it actually they drill into the ground. They drill in a hole is about 6 inches in diameter. Like we saw that lady with the rock covering the well. So the well is actually a PVC pipe rammed into the ground. Sometimes it's metal too. And so every time they drill into the ground, they'll run one of these pipes into the ground, and then they swing another one in and attach the next pipe, and then keep drilling. So this keeps going down and down and down. And they have about 600 foot of pipe on here 20-foot lengths, total about 600 feet. And so they started drilling. And this is what it looks like. When they drill, especially in Georgia, now this isn't the case in Florida. Florida, they got a lot of gravel and that down low. It's maybe some other places too, but in many places of the country, and especially Georgia, they have about 30 to 50, sometimes even 100 foot of dirt. They call in this diagram here overburden, they call it, but just basically it's dirt, 30 to 50 to 100 foot of dirt. After that, they get into bedrock. And so what they do is they drill into this through the dirt with a special drill bit just for dirt, and then, until they hit the granite. And then they keep drilling into the granite a little further. And then what they do is they pull the bit out, and then they shove PVC pipe in there. And the PVC pipe will basically keeps the dirt out, and they put this bentonite clay or concrete or grout on the both sides. They pour it in there, and it seals this against the granite. And so then after that, they put another bit down. They drill way down into the granite, and the granite's got these cracks in it like this, and that's where the water trickles in. You know, when I first started drilling the well, I thought they're going to hit, like before I understood fully, like they're going to hit a big lake of water underneath, like they hit a big cavern and there's water underneath. Well, that's not the way it works. They drill down through the granite, and water trickles in through the cracks, and it fills this it's like a pipe, it fills it all the way up. And sometimes it fills it up like down here, maybe really deep in the well. Sometimes it fills it up all the way up to the top, near the top, like ours did. It filled it up almost close to the top. And so this is what the cross section of drilling the well looks like. See what my next slide here looks like. Let's see. Okay, then after they drill, this is what it looks like. They got they already put the PVC pipe in, and you see all this powder stuff all around the bottom. Well, that's all the granite dust, and it was and it's like this muddy. Ours smelled bad for some reason. I don't know why. This maybe all of them do, but they drill the well, and he's got the cap in his hand, because these wells are capped off and sealed to prevent any contamination getting into it. And now after you do that, that's when you have to put the you drop the pump inside. It's on a long pipe. Let me just say this about wells in general. Drilling a well can be very stressful, and I think I don't think there's any way it can't be stressful, because you may not after spending all this money on the well have any water at all. What you typically do before you start drilling a well is you could ask your neighbors and ask them how much is it going to, how deep is your well and how much water does it produce. And in my case, there was a man down the street who drilled about 180 feet, and he was getting about 20 gallons a minute. I said, okay, that's not bad. That was pretty good. And I checked the prices for well drilling now. And if you went down 180 feet, I just talked to a well driller yesterday, a couple of days ago. To drill, it's like $16 a foot is what he quoted me, $16 a foot. And if you went down 180 feet, that's $2,800. Put that PVC pipe in there like that, like you see it right there. Oh, no, one more thing, one more piece of cost I didn't include. He said it was $14.50 for the casing. That's that PVC pipe. So drilling was $2,800. And then he said it was $14 for the PVC, $14 per foot. And so sometimes you have 30 foot of dirt, sometimes you have 100 foot of dirt. It depends before you hit granite. So and this person, I don't know how much, mine was actually ended up not being very much. Mine was only 40 foot of dirt. And so it was like, or the PVC, so it was like $14. So that's, let's see, 14 times 40, $560 plus the $16 per foot for 180 foot. That would times that, then add it. So it should have been only $3,400 for mine. But anyway, when you're drilling a well, you are concerned about not only hitting water, but also a volume sufficient in order to run your homestead to supply water for irrigation. I was looking for 10 gallons a minute. And the reason why is because I had irrigation heads that were about 1 gallon a minute to 2 gallons a minute, and each zone was going to use. If I turned all the sprinklers on one zone, it was going to it would be about 10 gallons, and so I needed 10 gallons a minute. So anyway, we drilled and drilled and drilled the first day, and didn't hit any water. I think we might have hit some water, but oh yeah, one other thing too to note is that what your typical faucet in a residential house, especially your bathtub, puts out about 10 gallons a minute. Usually if you turn on that's been my experience anyway, in residential homes, and also in houses with wells up to 10, maybe 10 gallons a minute. So anyway, we drilled the first day 480 feet the first day, and only hit 1 gallon a minute. We were like 480. No, of course, now what's happening is, I'm telling you, there's no way of not having some stress. You just have to trust in the Lord, is because you don't know if your well is going to come up dry or not. You may not hit any water. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has like my neighbor had 10 gallons or 20 gallons a minute at 180 feet. I was at 480 feet already and wasn't even getting a gallon a minute. So the next day we drilled again, further down. We got down to 600 feet and only had 2 gallons a minute. Boy, not enough for the irrigation that I wanted. And I thought about different systems I could do, maybe pump the water up into a tank, and we're not going to go through all that, but I wanted 10 gallons a minute. And so anyway, so what we did was we hired a hydrofracker. A hydrofracker, what they do is they put a balloon or a packer in here, it's on the left-hand side, and they push like 3,000 pounds per square inch of water, and it opens the cracks up. Anyway, it was interesting because after you could see in this previous, if you put your ear on here after they drilled, you could hear the water trickling in with this big echo, just trickling in. So anyway, we had the hydrofrackers come out, and it cost us about $3,500 for a hydrofracker. And they put these packers in like every 20 feet, and they put high pressure water in between the two, which is basically just a balloon, and they open up the cracks in the granite. And and after they pulled it out, I could hear water rushing in like a waterfall into that pipe, into the granite pipe. And so we had 10 gallons a minute, and we were and the water, because it came up so high up near the surface, we were able to put the well, one thing, just because it's 600 feet deep doesn't mean you're going to put the pump 600 feet deep. We put the pump about, I think it was about 200 feet deep. And that 200 feet deep means that your pipe of granite actually acts as a water holding tank. And so even though it supplied 10 gallons per minute, I was pumping it at 15 gallons per minute, which was faster than it was supplying. But because I had the pump so low in the well, it had all that reserve water. So it took several hours to pump, 3 hours of pumping continuously before I pumped it down. So yeah, I just want to just go through and just show that this cap that he's on there's got a special cap, and that cap is actually it's called, where you could add a hand pump to the top of your well. And I got one, actually. I haven't installed it yet, but I do have this, and it's a special cap with the holes pre-drilled in it for the hand pump. And so he's just showing that, he's talking about that. And then she's also showing the next step here is he's going to show, he's got to find out how far from the surface the water is. And so he uses this little sonar device. Now, I never had that before. I actually took a piece of string with a weight on it, with like a fishing weight and a bobber, and I dropped it down till the string went slack, and then I measured the string after I pulled it out. So that's a poor man's way. So anyway, this is a good picture of the well here, of the well pump. Maybe you've never seen a well pump before. Look how long it is. It's like long and thin, and it's got wires on it, and they're getting ready to put it into the well. And then, so anyway, what they do is that the pieces of pipe are actually 20 foot long, and they're threaded. So here they are lifting the pipe up. Get the pipe up here. And let's see. Okay, here we go. That's the well pump right there. And they actually lower it with this little crane. And that's why it's good to have. I actually didn't do this. I didn't actually install it myself the first time. I actually got it on a ladder, a big, tall ladder, with the help of a friend. And I raised each piece of pipe up, and I did it myself. But I highly recommend getting a well installer. But it's possible to do yourself. Those are the wires. He's got wires on that well pump. Something other is kind of strange about this whole thing is that those wires actually have to be spliced inside inside. They're actually submerged in the water. And they splice those wires with together, and they put like this sleeve over them, and they heat it, and it's silicone oozes out, and it seals it. So here's tightening the pipe here. Anyway, let's see. Let's take a look here. Let me see them doing it here. Here they're getting ready to. Oh, this thing here. They put this thing on the pipe. This is a surge. They call this a surge arrestor. What happens is that when the well pump turns on, it twists in the or can twist and hit the side of the well. And so they do is they put this in there. Well, they're actually lowering the well. He actually expands it a little bit here. Let's see, where is it here? Yeah, he's actually adjusting it, so it's just rubber to keep it from slamming on the sides of the pipe when the well does. Notice the bare wires. Now they gotta connect the. See, they put the sleeve over it and they heat it with a propane torch, and they have these kits on Home Depot where you could put it on the wires and seal the wires. So anyway, basically that's all he's doing here. He's putting the one pipe after another. They're just putting it deeper and deeper. And you have to figure out how deep it's going to go by the size of your well pump. There's calculations to do as far as how many gallons per minute it pumps. And of course, the deeper you put the pump in the well, the less gallons per minute it's going to deliver. Okay, even though it might be a 12 gallon a minute pump, you put it down too deep, you're only going to get 10 or 9 or 8, and that might be enough for you. And so anyway, let's see. They're just putting the well in here. Oh, here we go. Here's the final, there's the cap. They're putting the cap in, and they got the wires going into the well. These wires go back to your junction box. And so this is my well, the pipe going into the ground. You can see this is the pipe where the water actually comes out and goes to my house. You can see here's the cable to give power to it. This here is a bladder tank. It's a tank that's got a bladder in it. And so what happens is that when the well motor comes on, and I'll tell you in a second how it comes on, it fills this with water and a bladder inside, and it's actually it's pressurized with air. It's got a little bike. Some of them are sealed. Some of them have a bike, like a bicycle valve, air valve, and so you could adjust the pressure. So anyway, basically what it does is it expands and keeps the pressure. And then when you use water, the pressure goes down, and the well pump comes on and comes off and comes on and comes off, based from this gray device right here, which is the pressure switch. This is a 40-20 pressure switch. It comes when the pressure goes down to 40 pounds per square inch, the pump comes on. When it hits 60 pounds per square inch, the pump goes off. And so this red device here is a cycle stop valve. I'm going to go over that in a second, a little later, but notice how it's got a little spigot here at the bottom. And this here pipe goes down and actually goes to my house. And so let's see, you can buy this. This is a pressure switch kit. It's got the valve on it. It's got the spigot and everything. And this is what I had on my well here. And so this is what it looks like inside the pressure switch. And so those are the main components of a well outside. You can see over here on the right hand side, that's the rock that covers my well. And it gets kind of dirty inside. I don't know why. And we've noticed we poured a concrete pad around it to keep everything nice and well, it was nice and clean when we first installed it, but anyway, but to keep from mud from coming in and everything. But anyway, this is what the whole the setup looks like. You got the pressure tank, you got a junction box for the electricity. Here's the well itself, and then this valve here is a cycle stop valve, which actually regulates the pressure to keep it from cycling on and off 60-40. Actually, if you're using it in a shower, it just maintains the pressure at a certain level. So so you don't wear and tear on your well pump as turning on and off. And so this is what what it looks like. You cover your well. Oh, another thing too is that sometimes in Georgia, it's very common to have a cover like this over your well with the tank inside of it, because it doesn't get too cold here. And so, but because you got to keep your water dripping on freezing nights, because one time I forgot it and I had to open this up and actually use a heat gun to defrost everything, because it froze the pipe. We forgot to drip the water. And so anyway, you could also build a nice well house like this. My son actually built this one on a proper residential property not too far from where we live. And if you and this roof is actually removable. You can actually, it'll take probably 4 men to lift it. It's pretty heavy, but it is removable. So if you do build a well, make it removable, because sometimes you have to service the well. Like you saw those gentlemen with the big crane, they'll have to pull the pipe out. You need a way of getting in from the top. And so this is a view of inside the well house. You can see the same components again, except the cycle stop valve. You got the pressure tank. You got the junction box. We have the pressure switch, which is a great thing. A little pressure gauge, show how much pressure is in, and a shutoff valve. And so yeah, that's the cycle stop valve, and you can go to that's right there, and you can go to this company right here. It's a cycle stop valve, and it prevents the pump from cycling on and off, on and off, on and off. We're using lots of water. It just keeps everything kind of steady between 40 and 60. So it doesn't go all the way down to 40, start up all the way up to 60. So if you're sprinkling or something, it just keeps it in the middle, and without having, it prevents the pump from cycling on and off. And then this is the simple pump. What it looks like, you actually can install this right on top of your well cap. I got one of these. I haven't installed it yet. I'm going to get some time this summer and install it. This is where you get there's the cap for it. The simple pump cap, and this is where you get a simplepump.com, all stainless steel, and it's so if your power ever goes out, you'll be able to pump water out of your well, and you could actually pump it into the pressure tank. And so you could actually still take a shower. You have to pump quite a bit to get enough water in there. It's only like 5 gallons a minute, so you'll have to pump for and take some turns with some of your friends to get some pressure in there. But you could fill up buckets of water, from your well. And this is what it looks like when it's installed on some. This is not me, it's somebody else who has a simple pump installed on their well. And so what happened with mine was, I was in a residential property, like I showed you before, and I installed that well, and I was disappointed with the pressure, because at residential homes, pressure is usually like 80 pounds per square inch, nice, hard, hot showers. And anyway, so my pressure switch was 40-60, only 40 to 60. And I looked on the internet on it a little, asked some questions, and somebody said, well, welcome to the country, Jim. That's the way it is, low pressure. I said, I want something better. So I actually ended up pulled it after a few years, pulled it all out manually, lifted it all out and laid all the pipe on the ground. You see the well cap here, and there's all the wire I pulled out with it. And I got this device. I got this Grundfos constant pressure system. This constant pressure system, what it does is it has this sensor on it which senses pressure in the pipe, and it actually doesn't turn the well pump on and off. It actually speeds it up slow. So if you're using a small amount of water, it actually makes the pump just turn really slow. And when you open and you use a lot of water, it spins faster. So it's a variable speed pump it comes with, and at the time it was like $800 system. But maybe it'll probably be like $1,200 now. I didn't price them right now, but anyway, it also allows you to use a much smaller pressure tank. Look how tiny that pressure tank is. And so because the variations in pressure aren't that great, it actually maintains it pretty close. So this is what it looks like. You actually dial in how much pressure you want, as low as 40 and as high as 100. So I kept mine right around 80 for like I was used to, residential pressure. And then while it's running, you could see these little lines go up in here and showing the water was flowing when it was flowing. Drawback for this, twice I had to replace this controller. The service light came on after lightning hits, because you may gotta make sure you have a surge protector on your electric of your house in order to have these, because these are very susceptible. And that's one disadvantage of electronic controls, is that they can be destroyed by a massive surge. I mean, some of those lightning hits were just massive right next to my house, and the well just stopped working after that. And so with a mechanical switch and a cycle stop valve, you could almost accomplish the same things. I would actually recommend using the cycle stop regulator or valve, like I showed before, and don't go with the electronic control unless you really want to, because it is susceptible to being destroyed by power surges. And so finally, a little other thing was, you noticed in those other pictures that the pipe came out the top of the cap. Well, in northern climates, that they use it called pitless adapter. It comes out the side underground, and they'll put the and this well cap may be covered by artificial rock, but the pressure tank is inside the house. So that's a lot of colder climates. They'll do that. And so that's what this was here. You see the conduit actually is electric going down into the well, and they'll cover it. Well, they'll cover it like that. And so I built this system here using these. This is a propane backup, because in case the power goes out, I have this propane generator which charges these two cheap batteries I bought, which ended up being no good. I actually had to go out and get some these much better batteries and put them in place. But what it does is the well runs on these batteries through this inverter. I have it's a 220 volt well system. And if the batteries go low, this electronic controls, which I built, actually starts the propane generator up and charges the batteries. And so the propane generator runs about an hour or two. It charges the batteries, and then it shuts these batteries or these, and then it shuts off. And so because this is just for well power, because my well power is not on the same power as my house. It's in a barn. And so you could run your well off of batteries this is recharged by propane or recharged by solar. And I got enough room on my roof to put solar. So that's just something I built a few years ago, because one time the power went out and I was like, uh-oh, I can't take a shower. We can't do anything. We had no backup whatsoever. This is a propane generator, and I have a number of different propane tanks, and it's very easy for me to switch them out.